My lords, today I detail a report regarding a race of aliens who seemingly had their future predetermined by so-called prophets. At least, that's what they believed anyway. Spiritualistic fools. The empire in question call themselves the Quenteans. They are a nomadic race, fanatic spiritualists who operate as a death cult with clandestine societies woven into their government. Here is the story of their sacred path. For millennia, we wandered among the stars, traversing the astral seat at relativistic speed, crossing the eons between each sacred site. With the blessing of the hyperdrive, our people now have the chance to do what our ancestors could only have dreamed: visit all of our holy sites in a single lifetime. Under the wise leadership of Death Queen Rasa, the congregation is ready to find out what it means for our faith, now that we can traverse the path so quickly. The ancient maps passed down from our ancestors mark waypoints in the stars. Now, we make our pilgrimage to these sanctified wonders to pay homage to those who came before us, and understand the galaxy from their perspective. This is our birthright. This is our sacred path. With the installation of the hyperdrive aboard our Ark ship, our engineering crews have completed a comprehensive inspection of the ship's aging systems in preparation for true interstellar travel. Numerous faults have been identified throughout the vessel. A signal originating from an unexplored star system has begun to replicate itself across our communication databanks. Persistent interference patterns have been detected across multiple sensor arrays. The Ark ship's extraction systems have yet to be tested under operational conditions. Resource surveys indicate viable deposits in the surrounding systems. These deficiencies must be corrected if the Ark ship is to be restored to full operational readiness. This work will remain ongoing throughout our journey. There is a place called Emergence within this star system. For our ancestors, it marked the beginning of the sacred path, and it is a fitting place to meditate on the ancient text before proceeding with our own version of the pilgrimage. By taking some time to research now, we can better plan for the journey ahead. Afterward, we will chart a course to the known sacred sites. We have many choices to make along the way, but in theory, if we trust in the deities and our ancestors, the true path will be revealed to us. We will indeed try and follow the path of the ancestors. It took several days, but after surveying the emergence, Death Queen Rasa suddenly became catatonic. Medical officers were called into her quarters, but upon arrival she had recovered. In her trance, the Death Queen claims to have communed with the deities who have blessed the beginning of our pilgrimage. Today will be known as our Emergence Day. Our path is blessed. The star charts list several different systems worthy of investigation, and thus today, 2201-0414, we shall set about our journey. Years passed before we made it to our first destination, and we saw remarkable sights along the way, but nothing would prepare us for the findings in the stratal system. Our ancestors spoke true. There is in fact a beast below the surface of stratal 5. We are blessed that it poses no threat to us, for it is deceased. The remains of the creature are staggeringly huge, bipedal, winged, covered in scales, and with considerably more ocular organs than we've encountered before on a single being. It is truly alien. In an alcove near the entrance to the pit, we discovered a message carved into the carnivorous rock. In the language of the ancients it says, "We, the Lightbringers, cast out this abomination. The foul beast will rot in eternity." We summarized our ancestors were not warning us of the beast, but of the consequences for betrayal. This creature's body remains an example of their wrath. Indeed, angering the progenitors is never wise. We leave this system to continue our journey with a newfound purpose. During our travel time to the next destination, there has been some political murmurings. High pilgrims, devoted adepts, and faithful acolytes. These three distinct social groups form the hierarchy of spiritual practitioners. This is how it has always been. High Pilgrims lead the way, while devoted adepts commit themselves to the path, and the faithful acolytes support our endeavours through worship and physical toil. However, schisms are forming aboard the Arkship due to the roles that we have assumed since committing accelerated interstellar travel. Some crew members now believe their responsibilities outweigh those of others, and each group is demanding to be recognised as the most essential. It was decided that the High Pilgrims are revered for a reason, and thus they should be recognised as the most essential personnel. The future ramifications of the decision remain unclear. We soon arrived at the next set of coordinates detailed in the sacred text, and were promptly contacted by a ship with identical encryption protocols to our own. Perplexingly, our external sensors could not detect another vessel, but the transmission was clear, as if we were in visual range. When the bridge view flickered into action, we were met with the image of our own Death Queen Rasa. Before we could speak, the double spoke. "Be not afraid, Death Queen, you are safe. I take this form as a respectful gesture. Your path is in flux, and the steps you take next will set things into motion you cannot fully comprehend. You must eliminate all heretics who do not follow the path." The image vanished. We don't know what just happened. Debate among the High Pilgrims raged. A clear majority wanted to purge these so-called heretics, root them out, and destroy them. A few steady heads tried to convince the majority that this creature, whatever it was, could very well be manipulating us. Why should we believe it to be a deity? And how do we know it's trustworthy? Their arguments would fall on deaf ears. Approximately 17% of the ship were butchered following these events. We are a death cult after all. During travel to the next star coordinates, a problem occurred. A faulty relay is interfering with the Arkship's power core. In addition to being immobilized, the lights are now going out on residential decks, farms report irregular energy surges, and several key research modules have gone offline. Our chief engineers warn us that without intervention, cascading failure will spread throughout the ship. Unfortunately, the solution is not straightforward. Repairing the relay will require diverting resources from our reserves, while bypassing it risks compromising the Arkship's long-term stability. The now cooling ship creaks and groans unsettlingly. We need to make a decision. We made the decision to halt all activities aboard the ship for several days in order to undertake full repair. No expense was spared. After all, if the ship falls apart, we're not going to get the answers that we're looking for. The delays did prove costly, but we are underway once again. However, I'm told the engineering crews have outdone themselves. The repair is actually better than it was before. Crew morale has risen sharply, with many expressing newfound pride in the Arkship's resilience. It is a wonderful place to call home, after all. The decision made several years earlier regarding the elevation of the High Pilgrims has had some effect on us as a people. Steering us to glory, the High Pilgrims continue to champion spiritual fulfillment, dedicating their lives to the betterment of us all. The devoted and the faithful follow in their steps, looking up to them with respect and reverence. Representing the highest ideal of our faith, the High Pilgrims are now entitled to certain onboard perks. They have more spacious living quarters, access to more resource, and priority clearance on all decks. Some resentment seems to be seeping in from the people who perhaps would like a more egalitarian lifestyle. However, memories of the heretic purge remain strong, and it is highly unlikely anyone would speak up against the High Pilgrims, who are effectively responsible for the translation of the voices of God. Our travel continues. We've finally made it to our next destination, the Parvus system. Our journey brings us here, a place remembered only in traditional stories and devotional songs. The text speaks of a presence that inhabits the core world. We did not recognize it at first, but as we drew nearer, the memories surfaced. The cradle. While there are more differing opinions regarding the cradle's role in shaping our culture, all can agree that it is a sanctified conduit of our faith. However, Upon arrival, we found no ancient temples, no defiled monuments, no trace of godly activity anywhere on the planet. The pilgrims aboard now look to Death Queen Rasa for answers. They beg to know, is this a test of our faith, or is the cradle's power nothing more than a story? Some wanted to lie to maintain the legend. Our queen, however, made the choice that the first duty must be to the truth. Thus she told the people the truth as we knew it, and we made haste to the next site, the Murgar system. Murgar 5 was a place of sacred memory, a sealed chamber once used by early pilgrims to record their final thoughts and commit them to psionic crystals. The vault is now full, echoing with wisdom, faith, and joy. But within these memories there are also centuries of preserved fear, loathing, and doubt. If members of the coronation were to gain access to these final moments, it may challenge their faith in the path. We came to the conclusion that these voices should be heard. The ramifications of the decision, if any, remain to be seen. The next destination would be the Cats system. This would hold a truly wonderful sight within. Pilgrims gather on the observation decks. Whispers spread. This is one of the places described by our ancestors, the monastery of Cats 4. But the cloister is empty. There is nothing here but stone and dust. Reports are coming in from all decks about a mysterious chanting, echoing through our comm system. There is speculation from some of the crew members that the voices may belong to our ancestors inhabiting this area of space in non-corporeal form and chanting in the language of the gods. The chanting is a blessing, the High Pilgrims would say. Embrace it. Travel to the next site was more eventful than first anticipated. A fallen empire, the Mirion progenitors, so-called enigmatic observers, sent us a communication. If you can believe it, they demanded that we turn over some of our population to them. They told us that these people would live on one of their worlds in an endangered species preserve. By the Shroud, who do these people think they are? We told them to space themselves. We would never surrender our people to alien hands. Fortunately, travel takes us well away from their space. I suspect we will have to avoid it in the future. We experienced even more disruption before we reached the next sacred site. A fungal infection took hold throughout the ship. The organism appeared to thrive in the controlled humidity and nutrient-rich substrates of the Ark ship's agricultural systems, forming dense mycelial networks across multiple production tiers. Containment attempts proved ineffective as the fungus showed no measurable reaction to standard herbicide treatments. We suspect the species may have adapted rapidly to the enclosed ecosystem of our vessel. If left unchecked, the outbreak could significantly reduce food yields and place additional strain on the Ark ship's limited agricultural capacity. It was ordered that this fungus must be aggressively purged. Conventional treatments having failed, the contaminated hydroponic tiers was subjected to controlled incineration. Unfortunately, much of the Ark ship's edible plant stock was lost in the process. Entire growth beds were reduced to ash alongside the infestation, leaving several agricultural sections temporarily barren. Nevertheless, the operation appears to have achieved its objective. Every spore-bearing surface has been sterilized and the remaining infrastructure thoroughly purged. The fungal species has been eradicated from the ecosystem for good, and this knowledge will help prepare us for any other invasive species that may decide to settle on our ship in the future. Today I'm happy to report we've made it to our next sacred site, the Seb system. Orbiting Seb 6 drifts a structure our ancestors once marked upon their star charts. Within its quiet chambers, we discovered a guiding presence, an ancient intelligence tasked with answering questions for those who one day would walk this path. Time has not been kind to the machine, but its voice still stirs. Fragments of an instruction spill from hidden emitters, half coherent and reverent in tone. It has the following to say. Continue along the luminous thread. The dark between stars grows thin. Its messages arrive in splinters, looping and colliding with older verses. Yet beneath the static and decay, there remains intention. It was meant to guide us, and perhaps if we listen with care, it still can. Praise be to the techno-prophet. As we prepared to depart and move on from this system, the intelligence began spouting increasingly alarming rhetoric. Physical form is an affront to the deities, all flesh must be shed. Corporeal existence is unclean, bodies must be purged, the mind must be free. Our chief scientist, Scientist Gum, was forced to manually shut down the artificial prophet, else we'd be decorporealized. It remains unclear how powerful the intelligence is when active. We understand so little of its programming. The safest thing to do, I'm told, would be blow it up, but it was argued that we should probably just unplug it in case we need it for the future. So that's what we chose to do. One final system remains for us to investigate. This is the last system documented in our sacred text, the Ishan system. Upon reaching and surveying the Ishan system, we found an ancient observatory in orbit of a moon of the first planet. It had a telescope fixed on a distant subject. The text claims some pilgrims who gazed through the lens were met with life-changing visions. Others were said to have wept or fallen silent for days. The so-called eye has been staring into the abyss for over 2,000 years. We have no way of knowing the true object of our ancestors' observations. Nevertheless, we chose to take a look. We may find a clue after all. Peering through the telescope, we observed the void. There was no stars in this patch of space, no light, nothing. Could it be that there was once something to observe here? Did our ancestors look upon a star that no longer exists? We will never know. All we do know is that nothing is fixed and everything changes. This is what it means to be alive. One day our own light will stop and be replaced with something else, or perhaps nothing at all. That we are here now, in this moment, is a source of joy. Perhaps this is the eye's ultimate lesson. Impermanence is perhaps what makes us special. There are no more sacred sites left to explore. The ancestral star chart guided us across a vast distance, and now we have been caught up with our past. But the question remains, was it truth we found, or have we been following a lie? The path has always been an integral part of our culture. It was ordained by our ancestors, but having seen what they saw with the privilege of modern science, do the texts still ring true? Or is our society destined to follow a new, less pious path? Debate raged throughout the ship, but the High Pilgrims still hold much power in our society. Eventually, it was decided that we must not alter course, we would remain faithful to tradition. There will always be those with an agenda, those who would see our history ignored and conventions lost to time, but we cannot let them divide us. We must protect our traditional way of life. These deities will continue to guide us if we let them. We just have to remain open to their influence. That is who we are. On the date 2241-1119, a terrible event would occur in our empire. Our great leader, Death Queen Rasa, who had led us for decades, passed away at the age of 89. The people clamour for a memorial service to honour our great leader, and indeed a grand event would be held. It is a sad moment for our empire indeed. Whether related to the death of our queen, I cannot truly say, but it is clear there is a rift at the heart of our society that is deepening. Progressives are compelled to embrace change, while traditionalists fear anything that is different. At this point, we must ask ourselves, is there any way we can come together again as a people and live in harmony? The alternative could be devastating. Everyone should have the freedom to practice their faith in their own way, but if our factionalism leads us to civil war, we must be absolutely certain of our convictions. Coexistence, it seems, may be impossible for our people. With the death of the Queen, our pilgrims have asserted more control over our people. The leader of the church gave the following speech, and I'm sad to say this will be my last entry. My role of Grand Archivist has been discontinued. It seems we are going down a different path now. The path pulls us back, keeping us from evolving. Learning from our history is one thing, but remaining there, never moving beyond it, is foolish. We need not waste our potential for self-discovery. Now that we have shrugged off the chains of yesterday, we can move forward with unbridled passion. No longer will we be governed by our technologically inferior ancestors. No longer will the path be dictated by cryptic crumbs laid by the deities. We will choose our own path. Nothing will stand in our way. The only true path is a warpath. Everything is clearer now. The sacred sites of our ancestors are sickly, sweet beacons of hope and faith. Those who came before us had no shame, and they did not care who knew it. Our reputation has been trivialized and tarnished. We have it in our power to sanctify new sites that will communicate our own spiritual mission. The deities are complex and misunderstood. Through the path, they have taught us that conflict is a natural feature of our society. The challenges we have overcome make us stronger, and now we will demonstrate our strength across the galaxy. This will be our crusade. An interesting twist to their story, my lords. I suspect these pilgrims could have turned out quite a number of different ways depending on the choices they made. I am rather surprised they found themselves coming to this conclusion. Nevertheless, it simply reinforces our reasonings. One should never trust the alien.